Lillian came home from work wearing a quiet, almost secretive smile. She slipped off her shoes, setting them neatly in the corner of the living room, and walked straight to the bathroom. There, she spent nearly 40 minutes preparing herself, an unusual amount of time, but Daniel didn't question it. He was in the kitchen finishing dinner and simply found it endearing. Their relationship had been strained lately. Routine had dulled the spark that once kept them close. Still, he hoped tonight's dinner might bring some warmth back between them. When they finally sat down to eat, silence filled the room at first. Both seemed too exhausted to force conversation. Eventually, Lillian began speaking about her day, the uncertainty at the office, looming layoffs, restructuring plans, and a possible leadership opening. Daniel listened, as he always did. He admired her ambition. Her career had always been central to who she was, and he respected that. But as she continued, something in her tone unsettled him. She mentioned her boss, Adam, noting how he didn't show favoritism publicly but tended to form closer ties with certain women at work. Daniel wasn't sure where she was going with this, so he stayed quiet. Then Lillian stopped, looked him straight in the eyes, and said what she had been holding back for weeks. She told him she had made a decision, one that might sound outrageous, but in her mind, it made perfect sense. On Friday night, after work, she was going to meet Adam at a hotel. He had invited her, and she had agreed. It would be just once, she promised, purely physical, no emotions, no strings attached. She insisted she was doing it for them, for their future, for stability. She was tired of being overlooked while others moved ahead. This promotion would give her the recognition she deserved. One night, she said, could change everything. Daniel stared at her, stunned, unable to form words. Was this some cruel joke? A test? Or was she truly serious? There was no sarcasm in her voice, no trace of guilt, only certainty, as if she were presenting a calculated business move. His chest tightened, his stomach churned, his mind scrambled to process her words. It felt as though the ground beneath him had crumbled. Yet Lillian sat there calmly, seemingly unaware, or unconcerned, about the devastation she had just unleashed. She said she had thought long and hard before telling him, and that honesty mattered to her. She hoped he would understand. It's just sex, she repeated softly, as if those words made it harmless. Daniel said nothing. He picked up his wine glass, swirled the liquid, and drained it in one gulp. Lillian watched him closely, perhaps expecting a reaction, a shout, an argument, anything. But he remained composed. Finally, he told her he respected her ambitions, that he understood how important her career was, and then he stood up and left the table. He went into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at his phone in silence, letting the weight of her confession sink in. The dinner stayed untouched. The smell of the food lingered in the air, forgotten. Lillian finished her meal alone, then calmly went to remove her makeup, looking almost relieved, as if unburdened. She seemed convinced that in time Daniel would accept her choice and maybe even forgive her. But Daniel did not share that sense of peace. He sat motionless, her words echoing inside him like hammer blows. It's for us. It's just one night. It's just sex. Later, when she was asleep, he lay beside her, staring at her face in the darkness. He searched for the woman he had loved, the one he had dreamed of building a life and a family with. But all he saw was someone willing to cross a line without hesitation, someone who had reduced trust to a transaction. And in that moment, Daniel understood something had shifted inside him forever. He didn't make threats, didn't promise revenge. But clarity settled in. He knew what he wanted, what he deserved, and what he would never accept again. Some betrayals don't need arguments. They scream loudest in silence. The next morning, Daniel woke earlier than usual. He made coffee, left it on the table like always, and left for work without much to say. His face was calm, too calm for a man who had just been shattered. But inside, something was forming, not rage, but purpose. A few days later, while Lillian was showering, Daniel quietly took her handbag from the bed. He slipped a tiny microphone inside the seam of a pocket, a discreet device that would transmit everything to an app on his phone. He tested it, perfect signal, then placed the bag back as if untouched. She came out of the bathroom, kissed him goodbye, and mentioned a busy day ahead. He smiled faintly and wished her luck. At 11:28 a.m., Daniel sat listening intently. Lillian was on the phone with a friend, chatting casually about weekend plans, laughing lightly. In the background, he could hear typing, footsteps, distant office chatter. Then another voice entered, the one Daniel instantly recognized. "Adam," he heard the man say. "Got a minute?" Lillian told her friend to hold on. Then Adam closed the door with a distinct click. The tone changed immediately. "Friday night. Everything's still set, right?" Adam asked. Lillian confirmed, saying the room was already booked. Adam chuckled. "Good. This will be great for both of us. Just relax, someone could overhear." Then came muffled sounds, kisses, and Lillian's quickened breath. She whispered, "Just kisses, nothing more. If anyone hears, it's trouble." Adam laughed softly. "Relax. Just celebrating early." More kisses, murmurs, the scrape of a chair, and then Adam's voice promising her the promotion before leaving the room. Daniel closed his eyes and drew a long breath, forcing down the surge of anger. Now he had no doubts, no more speculation. The truth was recorded, undeniable. His plan shifted, sharpened. He opened his phone, scrolled to a number he had saved days ago, Adam's wife. When she answered, her voice was sharp, guarded. "Hello." Daniel introduced himself calmly and told her to listen carefully because what he had to share involved both of them. There was a pause, but she didn't hang up. So Daniel continued. He explained that his wife and Adam were planning to meet at a hotel. He told her he had placed a microphone in Lillian's bag, and that just minutes ago, he had heard everything. Friday night was set for the meeting. There was a pause on the phone before he spoke again. "I have the recording. I can send it later, but right now I need you to be there and catch them in the act." Vanessa, Adam's wife, erupted on the line. "Catch them in the act?" "Absolutely. They'll be at the Monarch Hotel, room 1407, at 8 p.m. It's already reserved under her name. I'll text you all the details. I'm going there myself and I'll record everything. I'll ruin that fool and that gold digger. Count on me." Daniel immediately sent the location, audio clips, and all the specifics, time, reservation name, floor, everything. On Friday evening, Lillian left home dressed elegantly, saying she had an important private work event and insisting it was better if she went alone. Daniel walked her to the car, complimented her appearance, and wished her a good evening, smiling as if nothing was wrong. She suspected nothing. As soon as she drove away, he picked up his phone and activated a live feed from a hidden microphone. He listened as she arrived at the hotel, checked in with the receptionist, and took the elevator upstairs. He heard the hallway footsteps and the door opening. Not long after, Adam arrived. His tone was pleased as he greeted Lillian, making a remark about how perfect the setting was. Then came kisses, sweet talk about the night ahead, and promises tied to her promotion. Minutes passed before a sharp knock echoed, 3 firm raps. Neither Adam nor Lillian knew that Vanessa had arrived at the Monarch Hotel 40 minutes earlier. She'd checked in and quietly requested a room on the same floor. She got room 1406, right next door. Inside, she locked the door, dimmed the lights, and let her phone charge. Her pulse was racing, but her eyes stayed cold and focused. Every sound from next door, footsteps, muffled words, laughter, was like a blade cutting through her patience. She waited until she was sure they felt safe, distracted, and arrogant. Then she grabbed her phone, opened the door, and marched across the hall. Her knock was loud, deliberate, 3 sharp hits. There was a pause, then Lillian's nervous voice. "Who is it?" Adam approached the door, peering through the peephole, just as Vanessa shouted. "Open the door, Adam. I know you're in there, and I know who's with you." The door opened. Vanessa stormed inside, phone recording everything. Lillian tried to pull the sheets over herself, while Adam froze, torn between fleeing or fumbling for excuses. Vanessa's voice sliced through the tension. "This is your big promotion, huh? Sleeping your way to the top? And you, destroying my marriage for this?" Lillian stammered, but Vanessa cut her off. "You wrecked my home, and now you're losing yours too." She filmed the room, exposing their shame, then turned and walked out. "Don't even think about coming home," she spat at Adam before slamming the door. By the time she hit the lobby, The raw video, unedited, no captions, was already in the company president's inbox. Moments later, Daniel's phone buzzed. Vanessa had sent a single message: mission accomplished. Daniel removed his headphones, closed the app, and sat in silence. Everything they'd plotted was complete. The scandal had begun. But Daniel had prepared for this moment long before. In the days leading up to the hotel meeting, while Lillian pretended to attend secret events, he contacted a divorce lawyer. He shared every recording, every proof. The papers were ready, finances reorganized, and a lawyer was on standby. He had even spoken to the bank, opened a new personal account, and ensured their assets were split in his favor. Now, with Vanessa's message, it was time to move. He opened his banking app, drained the joint accounts into his own, cancelled her cards, and locked her out of everything. Then he changed the smart lock code at home. Their shared life ended in a single evening. He placed the signed divorce papers in an envelope and moved her packed bags into the garage. Around 11 p.m., Lillian returned. She tried the keypad, but the code failed. Again and again, nothing. Panic rising, she knocked and called his name. Daniel's voice was firm from behind the door. "These are the divorce papers. Your things are in the garage. Take them and go." He slid the envelope under the door. She opened it, staring at his signature. It hit her. This had all been arranged in advance. Through the door, she pleaded. "Daniel, I did this for us, for our future. It was an opportunity." His reply was ice. "No. You did it for yourself. Now live with the consequences." She stood there shaking, tears burning, before walking to the garage, grabbing her bags, and leaving with no destination in mind. Desperate, she drove back to the hotel, hoping Adam would take her in. When she knocked, Adam sat pale on the bed, phone in hand. He opened the door silently. "They saw the video?" she asked. He hesitated before saying flatly, "The company called. We're both fired." Lillian collapsed on the edge of the bed. "What now? What do we do?" Adam gave a bitter laugh. "There is no we, Lillian. I'll figure out my life. You? Just get out of my sight. You've ruined everything." She begged to stay the night, but Adam refused. She picked up her bags and left the hotel, calling a friend who reluctantly offered her a mattress on the floor. Lying there, she listened to messages from family dripping with anger and shame. The scandal spread through the office like wildfire. Videos, screenshots, gossip in every chat group. Neither Adam nor Lillian could find work again easily. Adam, once respected for his leadership, became a symbol of betrayal. No company wanted the risk. Lillian, broke, divorced, and jobless, leaned on others' pity to survive. Meanwhile, Daniel never looked back. In his mind, the truth was clear. Those who plant deceit will one day harvest nothing but ruin.